Welcome to the FTN show.
Hey everybody, welcome to Forge the Narrative. My name is Paul Murphy, your host. I'm joined tonight by Ricky Addington.
I may be more excited today than when the Imperial Knights came out.
We're going to talk about the biggest little thing in Warhammer.
Can I say it? I'm going to say it today.
Yep.
Titanicus.
Adeptus Titanicus. Of course, here. See, this is the one. They're branding it as part of the Warhammer universe. I think that's the first time I've seen that on a book. But it's got its own cool little logo. It is pretty awesome.
We get our advanced copy for the store. I guess by the time this comes out, we will get our advanced copy for the store. So I am super excited because we'll be able to start showing it off and playing it. And by playing it, I mean everybody is going to get to watch me play it because I'm not stepping away from this game.
The first thing I did, this week, I went to Gen Con. I was there the weekend, got to see some of the models, of course, all close up and mess with them a little bit. I put on 90s metal and built a Warlord Titan when I got back.
Actually, I'm very jealous, and words were said to you in jealousy prior to the show a few days ago, and I want you to know, while I hope you don't have hard feelings, I meant every word of it.
Words hurt, Ricky. Words hurt. The Warlord, I mean, it's a kit. I mean, of course, it's smaller than a Knight, bigger than the Primaris Dreadnought. I think I'll need to put them side by side of each other. I'll put a size pick comparison up as soon as I possibly can.
Okay.
But it's built pretty slick. It is built to where you can easily insert magnets without drilling if you have the right size magnet to magnetize the weapon options.
Nice. So we're saying like Dreadnought size, maybe?
That sounds right. That sounds about right. I'll take some size comparison pictures and put them up when this podcast goes up. But the shoulder weapons, it comes with the 2 missile launchers, and I believe it comes with the 2 volcano cannons, if I remember right.
The Bellicosa volcano cannons are the arm mounted, and then you've got the this is embarrassing. I'm looking at mine over here for the big ones. The
big missile launchers.
Well, there's the missile launchers on the shoulders, and then there's the laser, It's a laser destroyer or something. I can't remember the exact name.
Well, no, I'm talking about the ones that comes with in the Warlord kit, the current the Warlord kit you're going to be able to get when you pick it up if you get it outside of the War Master.
Okay.
The Master's Edition.
So the shoulder mounted lasers are not an option. It's just bellicosas and missiles.
And missiles, right? Yep.
Okay. All right.
That's in the Warlord kit, the one that you can get separately outside of the stuff.
Okay.
And the rules, this is not a quick game. This is not one of those games. It's not like Kill Team. It's not like any of the games that have released recently. This is going to be a game that you can actually sit down and kind of get that 40K experience from.
I'm actually happy with that. Honestly, like we've gotten blown up with quick skirmish games. We've had Shadespire, Necromunda, Kill Team. I feel like there's something else in there I'm not thinking of. So I'm excited to have a game that I can sit down with somebody, set a tasty beverage down with us, and start playing this game. And I feel like a game like Titanicus should take a while, right? Because it's an epic scale game.
I mean, of course, the size of the battle that you play is going to factor into that. But this game, we'll get into what they suggest for match play in a little bit. But just to kind of give you an example, the points, by the way, are on the data card. So you get this card for each one of your Titans, which is sort of like its control panel. I guess it is its control panel. And you are able to, you get some little tokens, I shouldn't say tokens, indicators that you move and place around the holes on the heads-up display of the control panel that tell you the status of your Titan, and you're able to do things like overcharge the reactors, and you can interact with it. It's not just a place to just track your hit points, as it were. That's
cool. So there's going to be a little bit of like managing the Titan as well as just rolling dice and shooting things?
There is, and some of it is by your choice, and some of it is, of course, when you take damage, but it's going to tell you like what you roll, what your modifiers and the rolls are. Also, for each one of the categories. And your reactor management is a big deal.
Okay. From looking at it at the picture, it looks like it's not quite as ridiculously in depth as BattleTech is for managing and.
You're not tracking heat and you're not tracking ammo. No, this is
okay.
I don't. I mean, there's I think there's 5 rows of things that you just move a tracker down, and then there are a couple of things for checking things like your reactors, your how wounded you are. There's also a place you can give your Titan orders, and there's an embossed section that fits a die, so the die kind of sits on there a little bit more stable than if you were just sitting it on a piece of flat cardboard. You're also able to put your weapon options on there, and those come in the form of cards. And then when something happens to the weapon, you can flip it over, and then it tells you on like some of the stuff that you need to know is going to be right there right in front of you. So it's easier to kind of keep track of, and they give you nice little places to put it on the Titan's data card. And these are heavy cardboard data cards.
I'm already thinking of a way to make these out of like plexiglass.
Yeah.
Get it etched on there, backlit. I want it sitting on my table glowing.
That's pretty cool.
It's going to be a thing.
I think that actually sounds like something reasonable that you should be doing.
It's totally reasonable. I don't have the skill set to make that. I'll find someone.
Somebody does.
Yeah, somebody does, and we'll get us 2 of them.
So this is not in the rule book. This is on the data card itself. So for a Warlord Titan, it tells you the scale, which is 10 for the Warlord, and the scale is important when you're doing things like ramming and falling over. Either by choice, or circumstance, the scale plays into that, and then you've got the points. So a Warlord Titan is base 385 points.
All right. I have nothing of which to base that off of.
Well,
so
okay,
sounds fair.
Yeah. Well, the reason that I'm mentioning that is because there is in this hardback rulebook. By the way, there's also a bookmark. It's a blue bookmark that you can move around. And of course,
it's the ribbon. The ribbon, right?
It is. It's the ribbon.
Sold. You sold me on the ribbon. People love ribbons in books. I don't know what it is, but it makes it feel classier.
It is. So in here, it gives you suggestion. Well, there's rules for narrative play, open play, and match play.
All right.
And the matched play. Let me get to it. Pardon my page flipping.
No, I'm enjoying the sound of it.
So with the single ribbon bookmark, I have it on the rules section. But in the match play section, there are 3 categories. There's the skirmish, the confrontation, and the epic clash. And we typically play kind of the middle bracket here when we talk about tournaments and competitives. This is the confrontation is 1,250 to 1,750 points.
Okay, so that's a couple of warlords.
It's a couple of warlords. Yeah, okay. It's some knights. It's reavers. I mean, you're gonna have a fair amount of figures on the table. If you ask me. Now, the weapons, of course, are expensive. The weapons, depending on the chassis of the Titan, you're looking at 55 something points a piece. For the largest ones, and then of course it scales down into the 20s and 25 points.
Right. So
some other weapons.
So I see it right here. It's like on the Warhammer community side, it shows the card for like the Bellicosa. It's 55 points. So you're talking what 385 plus 110, and then your Carapace weapon. So you're coming in under what 450, 500 points.
Yeah, probably around the 500.
Yeah. So
that's for the Warlord, and as we kind of talk a little bit about the rules, you'll see why you might include different types of Titans.
Okay.
And I'm also assuming. I mean, I know there's there'll be missions, and there are objectives. They even list out a number of missions in the book for you to choose from in the match play settings. And there are also Legion traits. You can actually paint up a specific Legion and pick Legion traits for it.
Okay, I have to ask you because my Warlord, my
full size Warlord,
my full size one is Legio Ataris. Tell me the firebrands have rules.
Legio Ataris.
Atarus, the firebrands.
Yeah, I don't think they're in here.
No.
We have Legio Griffonicus.
I like them.
We have Legio Tempestus. That might be it.
Okay.
And then we'll give you special things as, like, imagine like chapter tactics.
Okay.
So the rules, when you're moving around big lumbering things, like you'll see on that data card that there's a firing arc there. Sorry for the weapon.
Yeah.
That's going to matter whether you're moving and you're turning, and these are all very important things. The arcs of fire are important. The rule set, if you get that smaller box set, it does come with templates that you can use for your arcs. Also comes with the old school templates for firing as well.
Yeah, we made a joke about that today. Was that they got rid of templates in 8th edition so that they could be busy making them for all the other games that now use them.
Well, it comes up, and I think it in this particular instance it adds some flavor to the game, where in like 40K it was largely kind of like a time sink.
Yeah.
A little different here. So in the phases of the game, you've got a strategy phase. This is where you determine the first player. You basically roll off to see who has priority. The winner decides whether they will be first player of the round, or whether they will let their opponent be the first player. So you get to choose. It's in the rules. You can choose.
Good.
Then you can make a command check. There's things around that. Then it goes into the movement phase. And this is important, where we were talking about in Kill Team, to where you moved all your models and then the person moved all their models, and then you went to Diego. In the movement phase, players have a chance to move their units around the battlefield, obviously. During the phase, the players take turns activating a unit and moving it, starting with the first player. When one player runs out of units to activate or does not wish to activate any more units, the other player activates each of their remaining units in turn.
We finally have a true Yugo-Igo.
That's what it looks like. So the players take turns activating a unit and moving it, starting with the first player.
I love it.
Yeah. When one unit runs out of units to activate or does not wish to activate any more units, the other player activates each of their remaining units in turn. Yeah. And it says note, I think this is going to be important for like actual gameplay and strategy. Note that a unit that has been activated does not need to move or turn. It can be activated and still remain stationary.
Cool.
I think this is your first opportunity to push the reactors as well, if you chose to do so.
Can you I guess throw more throttle to it and get more movement out of it by pushing your reactors and do stuff like that? Is that what that is?
Titans are powered by massive, unstable plasma reactors.
No.
Mechanical law dictates that a Titan's reactor should never be pushed beyond its safe operating limits. Rick.
I'm pushing it.
But in the heat of battle, crews are often willing to transgress this.
I'm already excited, Paul. I don't even know. I don't know if it's the monster or the game, but I'm very excited. I am giddy right now.
Oh, so when the model is activated in the movement phase, it can move in a straight line a number of inches up to its default speed characteristic. The first value shown under its speed on its command terminal. That's what the cards are called, the command terminal. The model must move within its front arc, but its facing does not change even if it moves diagonal. Models are able to change direction partway through a move. For instance, you can move a model straight forward for half its speed, then move diagonally for the remainder. You could also sidestep or back up. Turning. In the movement phase, a model can make a number of turns equal to its default maneuver characteristic. That is the first value shown under the move maneuver on the command terminal. The Warlord Titan has a maneuver value of 1.
Right. I'm looking at it. So speed of 4, maneuver 1. I don't feel this is the Corvette of God machines, but we'll go with it.
The collisions. Models cannot voluntarily move through other models or through blocking terrain. If a model is forced to do so, it will stop in base-to-base contact with the model's terrain piece, then it will suffer a collision. And this is where the first instance where we see the scale come up. If a model collides with another model, each one inflicts d6 hits on the other at a strength equal to its scale. For example, a Warhound Titan, scale 6, collides with a Warlord Titan, scale 10. The Warhound suffers d6 strength 10 hits, and the Warlord suffers d6 strength 6 hits.
I feel like the Warhound's going to take it a lot more than the Warlord in that situation.
Yeah, then it goes on to giving rules for talking about colliding with buildings as well.
Oh, that's cool. All right, so this is it's like involuntary. You said you can't voluntarily just try to tackle. Is that correct?
That is right.
Okay.
So power to stabilizers. Immediately after making a turn with an active model, the controlling player can push its reactor to declare power to stabilizers. If they do so, then a model uses its boosted maneuver characteristics, the second value, which is shown under the maneuver command on the command terminal, instead of its default maneuver for the rest of its activation.
And that will give it the speed and the maneuver, or the turns?
Yeah, so pushing the reactor, we got power to the locomotors, power to stabilizers. These are things that you can do. To kind of give you, you're making choices during these phases, and remember, this is the whole you go I go kind of thing. So you're seeing what your opponent is doing, and if they make a reactor mishap, then maybe it influences what you do.
Right. I like this. I like that it's not just you move 4 inches. Like facing is going to be an issue. Like how far you can turn.
Yeah,
do
firing. Wait till I get to
the
the combat phase.
I can't. I'm already too excited.
The combat phase, there's no shooting phase and no assault phase. There's just the combat phase. But I'm skipped a step. The damage control phase. This is when you check for reactor overloads.
Which I feel like I'm going to be doing that a lot.
Yeah, make repair rolls, vent plasma, raise void shields, repair critical damage, and so on. And you do it, so the players take turns activating unit and checking for reactor overloads, then making repair rolls for it, starting with the first player. And then if you run out of units, you keep going down the line.
Okay.
The combat phase. This is interesting. I'll kind of sum up here. You select a target, declare the attacking weapon, and then you check firing solution. Once the target has been declared, then you measure the distance between it and the attacking unit. If this is greater than the weapon's long range characteristic, the attack is wasted and has no effect. There's no pre-measuring.
Uh-oh. All those sheetrock employees are going to be winning games again. My buddies used to play with a guy who hung sheetrock for a living.
Yep.
And that was back in the days of a basilisk. You'd have to guess the right. Remember, it was G and then the number,
yep.
And you had to guess how far it was. They said that set up a game, and the dude never missed with his artillery, because he'd just sit there. He'd be like, it looks a bit like 33.5 inches. And they're like, he's dead on every time. So, all the carpenters are going to be coming out of the woodwork.
There's ways. You know how far the guy set up, he deployed, how far he moved, and then
Yeah.
But you're also your long range on the warlord weapons are 60 inches, so you got some range, but that's long range. There are 2 range categories here, and some of these have accuracy bonuses or penalties depending on the range categories, and those are listed on the weapons.
Okay. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so you check the range, determine whether or not the target is within the attacker's weapon's firing arc. If it is not immediately clear, which is the arc, use the center of the base, but you do have a template that you can use if you get the rule set, and I'm sure it's available also, or in the other sets. If the target is not within the weapon's firing arc, the attack is wasted. So there's, you can make your positioning and your turning need to be precise, and you can potentially blank, a heavy unit's combat phase here.
That would suck. But what it kind of makes me think of is you're in the heat of battle and you're calling out targets and stuff. All this is happening rapidly, and you're trying to pick targets, but maybe your Titan just isn't in the right angle to shoot it, so you just ain't getting at that turn. I kind of like that.
Yeah, you may need to be in a certain position to get cover. If the weapon's line of sight to the target is at least 25% obscured, apply -1 to the hit modifier. If it's at least 50% obscured, apply a -2 modifier instead.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, and this is in addition to the accuracy. Each weapon has an accuracy value for short or long range. If the value shows a positive or negative modifier, this is applied to the hit roll. So, obscured for something that's already a -1 accuracy, you're gonna. This actually matters. Where you are in the battlefield seems to actually matter.
I feel like you're going to have to do a lot of thinking while you play this game, and that has me excited. I'm glad it's not just let's throw some models on the table and roll some dice and play Yahtzee. I like that. They've put a lot of strategy into this. I feel like a big movement's going to be key in this thing.
Here's where things get even more tactical, if you ask me. So, let me cover close quarters. If you're within 2 inches and you have you use the weapon skill instead. So Titans are usually engage their targets at long range, but some are equipped with weaponry that makes them utterly deadly at close quarters, where quick thinking and nimbleness are more important than accurate firing solutions. Attacks made against targets within 2 inches of the attacking unit use the attacking unit's weapon skill rather than its ballistic skill. In addition, when making such an attack, a targeted attack, that's something you can do, suffers a -1 to hit modifier rather than -2. Targeted attacks is when you want to specifically hit a certain section on an opponent's Titan.
Ooh.
So you could like punch him in the face, or punch him in the legs, or the body.
I'm just going for the face.
The face all the time.
Yeah, every time.
So resolve the hits, but then here we go. If the hits are caused and the target has an active void shield, the target controlling player makes void shield saves. If the target does not have an active void shield, or the void shields are ignored or bypassed, the attacking player makes an armor roll. Here, the shield saves are important. You have to essentially completely take out an opponent's void shields before you're able, or bypass them altogether. If it has void shields at all, you have to take it out before you can start making any rolls. And that means if you hit something 5 times and it only takes 3 shots to drop the void shield, the last 2 are discarded.
Oh. Now, when you get in close, do you bypass the void shields if you're within like that 2 inches, or
you do?
Oh,
yes. The nature
great.
of the void shields and the fact that they manifest as a massive dome around the bearer makes them useless against attacks that come from very close range. If an attack targets a unit that is within 2 inches, void shield saves cannot be made for that unit.
Cool. That's perfect. That's thematic. It's great. It's exactly what I expected. I'm happy about that.
Yeah, and as you're reducing the void shield number that you need, it's a chart also that goes down. Your void shield, for instance, on the Warlord, it starts at 3+ and then moves its way down. From there, it drops to a 4+. It stays 3+ for a little while, then goes to 4+, and then goes away.
Okay.
Regardless of any modifiers, any dice roll of a 1 for the void shield always fail, and any die roll of a 6 is always removes 1 hit from the pool. So that's what you're essentially canceling out hits with your void shield saves. Does that make sense?
Yeah. I'm looking at it. I'm looking at it. So you got that little tracker. You just move it over.
Yeah. Then any dice in the hit pool are discarded, even if the void shields have now collapsed. Any remaining hits are assumed to be lost. The death of a Titan's void shield is a pyrotechnic event in itself. An pressurized blowout generating a concussive wave and unleashing a thunderous cacophony. And until the atmosphere clears, there's no chance of any hits making it through to the target. So you've essentially got to drop the void shields before you start making any rolls on the Titan. And then you need something higher than strength 3 in order to drop void shields. It's got the impregnable barrier rule. Void shields are utterly impenetrable to weapons that are not powerful enough to overload them. Against attacks with strength 3 or less, void shield saves are automatically passed.
That's cool.
So I know what you're probably saying then. What are strength 3 attacks? In this game. And this is going to kind of give you an idea of scale. Yeah, the Equestria's support banner of Knights, the Avenger Gatling cannon in this game is strength 3.
Okay. But
you get 8 dice with it.
All right.
And at short range, it's +1 accuracy, which short range is 8 inches. This will all be important too, because you get bonuses to the armor roll depending on what in which arc you are on your target. So a strength 3 weapon on the back of a Titan might have some benefit after you've already dropped its void shields, but you can't use this weapon to drop its void shields.
Or just get within 2 inches and then shoot it, right?
You bypass the void shield.
I mean, he's totally dead, but it's,
I mean, if you want to,
yeah. I mean, it's a Hail Mary, but go for it.
So then this goes through making the armor roll if the target does not have an active shield or the attack has bypassed it. Instead, roll a location dice to see where the hit lands. It's assumed that the hits are grouped well enough to all strike the same location, so that's important. Because what you're doing is creating a hit pool, see which hits actually are ignored by the shields or you've already dropped the shields, and then you see where it goes. If the location is not visible from the point of view of the attacking weapon, re-roll the location dice. And you do that until you get a location that is visible.
Oh, okay, so like when you're rolling to see where you hit, if you're like I hit the right arm, but the right arm is behind cover, I can't hit the right arm. Is that what you're saying?
Right, or the head or the body or whatever.
Ah, that is cool. Okay. So if you kind of want to make sure, like when you're shooting something, it's like, oh, I just need to take out his right arm for some reason you decide that's what you got to take out. If you position yourself so that you can't see the left arm, you have a better chance of getting that right arm when you're.
You get a better chance of getting what you want. That's for sure.
Yeah. Okay, that's cool.
Yep. So where I was talking about the armor roll, once the hit has been determined, roll all the dice in the hit pool. For each dice rolled, add the attacking weapon's strength value to the result. Then consult the target's location damage table as described on page 28. That's what shows you the command card. Mm-hmm. To determine the effects of the hit, refer to the damage effects. That's on page 35, which is there's head, body, legs, special locations, direct hit.
All right.
Yeah, those are the different things. And then you've got direct hit, devastating hit, critical hit, and then weapon locations. You can disable those, like we're talking about, so on and so forth. If the attack comes from the target's side arc, add 1 to the result. If the attack comes from within the target's rear arc, add 2.
Oh, I like that. So more likely to like damage it if you're in the rear arc. So you just Okay, I like that. Easy. Yeah.
The damage effects affect the mind impulse unit. That's what the MIU stands for on the card that you're seeing.
Everyone knows that, Paul. Come on.
Oh, I'm sorry. Look.
Oh man, I'm sorry.
You might be right. I'm catching up here.
Oh yeah, no, what was that Warlord novel that was out? It came out, I mean, it was months ago, but like, man, sitting there reading that novel and then working on my Warlord, I'm like just visualizing every single thing in that novel. As I'm working on it, I'm like, oh, there's the Princeps. Okay, here, so I love Titans. There's so much that goes into them. So I love it. I love how much detail they've put with it, and having these like callbacks to that sort of stuff, and actually bringing the narrative into it with all the terminology and stuff. So it's just making me happy.
And then of course when we get into the Titans dying, says though many refuse to believe it, even a God engine is not invincible. When a Titan, there are some sections, there are a couple of results that you could get on a D10, by the way, for the catastrophic damage table that just silence the Titan. So he just stands there, and then the next hit would knock him over. So you could potentially knock it. Like if you do get that, then you could shoot it again, and it falls over.
That's cool.
On something,
Yeah, that's really cool. If he's got some Imperial Knights behind him or something, that would be super funny.
Falling Titans. The death of a Titan is not something which can be easily ignored. Wherever their colossal mass falls, utter devastation is sure to follow.
That sounds about right, yeah.
Titans can make a smash attack in the combat phase, which is their strength is scale +1.
I really, really wish that they could have had the power claw instead of a cannon. I would just be charging with
more weapons are coming.
Yeah.
These things, I told you, that, or I mentioned anyway, that these things have already, like, pre-sculpted things to house magnets.
Yeah. That is great, because we still got the laser destroyers on the top, with the Sun Fury plasma cannon, the power claw. There's just so many weapons options for these, and then the Reavers are coming too, and they've got a ton of weapons options. Man,
yeah, I'm pretty jazzed.
I'm going to have to get all my 40K projects done in the next 2 weeks or week and a half. So I got to clear my plate.
Yep. So the Warlord, it's a really neat model, and it went together fairly easily. When you're building something for the first time, it takes a little bit longer than when you're building it for the second. But it's kind of neat to know, or at least what I've picked up from their stuff on the Warhammer community Twitch stream and stuff, is that they'll be putting out the weapon sprue is a completely separate sprue, and it comes with, like, on that sprue there's the armor plates for the weapons, the arm housing. I'm pretty sure that we're going to get magnetizable weapon options.
Oh, that'd be great.
Yeah. And so then there's the end phase. And they say the end phase is usually over pretty quickly, but don't ignore it. There are some things that you'll resolve in-phase effects. And the designer note here is, don't forget the in-phase. Although it might look like the in-phase basically doesn't do much, but be careful not to forget it. A lot of rules are triggered in this phase, especially once you start using the advanced rules. For example, any order dice that are on the command terminals are removed at the end phase.
I like advanced rules. Advanced rules are fun.
Those are the best. That's how you get going. That's how you start beating each other, and that's how you start shooting things. That's it. The advanced rules, I'll cover them kind of quickly here. Then we'll take a break. You can enact stratagems, issue orders, and then there's an order die. You don't have to roll it. You can just choose what you want, but you can do things like split fire, shut down. Like if you're having some issues with the Titan and you want to cool the reactor out before you potentially self-destruct.
Right.
Thing. You can shut it down. You can charge. You can be the first one to fire. Yeah.
All of these things are making me happy.
Yeah.
Now, are the stratagems, do you feel the stratagems are going to be as, I'm trying to use a polite word for 40K, but so, like, not prevalent, but, yeah. To the point where it almost overpowers the core of the game?
I don't think so, because everybody can do it.
Right. Are they all pretty much the same stratagem?
Well, I shouldn't say stratagems. There's a strategy phase, and this is where you issue your orders and you determine who goes first.
Okay.
These are things that anybody can do.
Okay.
Yeah, so you'd be issuing orders to all your Titans and your maniples and squadrons of Titans.
I see.
You can combine void shields.
What? So like you get them close together and like Wonder Twin power unite them? You
can. What you can do, you can get them close together and then like share the hits like to the one that's the strongest at the time.
Paul, I love this game. This game is so cool. I'm totally fanboying over this game. I am.
You can awaken the machine spirits that has rules too.
This is great.
Let's take a quick break, then we'll come back and gush over it a little bit more.
Yeah, I need it. I need a break.
See you in a minute.
You're listening to Forge the Narrative.
We are back. Still got Ricky here.
Let's get to it.
Okay, so you were asking about stratagems a minute ago.
Yeah.
And I don't think I gave you the best answer. In matched play, the battle level, remember we're talking about basically the point level, determines the stratagem points that you get. So if we're talking about that middle row, the 1250 to 1750, then each player would get stratagem points to spend. And then the missions actually tell you like how to go about using them. So for instance, in choosing stratagems here in the missions, it says each player has to choose their objective. The players spend their stratagem points to purchase additional support as described on page 64. That is, on page 64, it tells you that choosing the stratagems, tactics and tricks. It tells you what you can do there. Then the battle level determines the number of stratagem points that each player has to spend as shown on the table 84. And that shows you, that's what I talked about, where it says the skirmish or battle or confrontation or whatever.
Right.
It goes 2, 3, 4 stratagem points.
So in like a mid-sized game, a normal-sized game that we would be playing, most likely we're gonna roll into it with 3 stratagem points. We will pick those stratagems at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
And then we will play them. And there's no Veritas Vitae, Kurov's Aquila, or
not that I can see right now. So the player with the lower battle rating can also gain additional stratagems points based on the chosen battle level's underdog margin.
Okay.
And the underdog margin is also on there when you tells the point limits. This is not something mystical or whatever. It's right there. So in the confrontation level, for every 200 points that you are below your opponent, you get another stratagem point.
Okay.
For each full 200 points.
Okay. Sigmar does something similar now in 2nd edition. I think it's whatever 50 points under, you get a command point.
It's 2 stratagem points. For each full increment of the underdog margin that the other player's rating is higher than, the player gets 2 bonus point stratagems. 2 bonus stratagem points.
Okay. Hopefully they're good enough for that to even out. So,
if one player had a battle rating of 1,300 points and the other had a battle rating of 1,700 points, the first player would get 4 bonus stratagem points because he's down by 400 points.
Right.
Yeah, and you play this game, it's like the missions are set up to be on 4x4 tables.
Yeah, that's kind of an important question for somehow I didn't even think to ask that. Hey, Paul, how big of a table do I need to play this? Oh, 4x4. Thank you. Okay, great.
We've had the question, already come in, which I said you got to wait till the show on Saturday. But it's like, how much terrain do I need?
That I feel like is going to be the big question, because I feel like this is going to be a game where you're going to want a lot of terrain, to maneuver around and to have to work within and stuff.
We talk about the terrain being that third man on the table, essentially, and this is, we already talked about like obscurement is going to be something that really adds to the difficulty of your shots. It's basically going to determine the length of the game. Yes,
right, yeah. We can either have a shooting gallery or we can have hide and seek going on. So
I think something in the middle there.
Yeah.
You're going to want to go 25% type stuff typically.
Yeah.
So whatever fills up 25% of a 4x4 table. Now also remember that the Titans willingly can't walk through the buildings and stuff. So
right. I think that's going to be neat, like when you play on denser terrain, because your knights are so small. I think you could have some fun with games setting the table up to where only knights or the smaller Titans, can work their way through certain areas and, really limit maneuverability in ways like that. I think that could make for some interesting games. So I'm pretty eager to throw some terrain on there and get going.
So we talked about the stratagem. You get the points, you then have to spend them, and the stratagems right now are between 1 to
0 point stratagems.
Here we go. Okay, let's see what it has cost X here for Outflank. So that's probably not 0, but
maybe like depending on how many you take.
Let's see what the Outflank. Well, let's look at the what this says in the book for the Outflank, because you can either pick the card, choose the card, or you go with what it says in the book. And so we'll check out what the Outflank does. I apologize for the flipping of pages.
You got to use that sweet bookmark in there, man.
Well, the bookmark. There's a lot of things to look at and talk about in this book.
They needed this in the Paul Murphy edition with 8 bookmarks.
9 bookmarks. Oh, here we go. When this stratagem is chosen, the player secretly writes down one of their units. The cost of the stratagem is equal to half the unit's scale, rounding up. So you're going to have a hard time outflanking that Warlord Titan. So
that costs 5 stratagem points to outflank a Warlord.
There we go. I knew it couldn't be 0.
My money's on not outflanking Warlords all that often.
Well, if you play underdog, you just have to be underdog by 200 points to get you your 5 stratagems.
There you go, and then you have a surprise Warlord.
I mean, that might be good.
It's a technique.
But man, I'm digging it. I'm digging what I see. I like the fact that it's not just a skirmish game. Mm-hmm. Like, you're going to be rewarded for putting all your time into making these models look beautiful.
Yeah.
I already know.
I feel like they're going to spend enough time on the table that you're going to want to paint them up real well,
Yeah, I already know that I'm going to paint a Blood Angel Titan Legion.
Paul, that doesn't even make sense. That doesn't make sense.
Titans? They had Titans.
Did they?
Yeah, they did.
I mean, they had Titans working with them, right? But they didn't have Titans.
Well, they're gonna. I'm pretty sure that they did. I think Blood Angels kind of are kind of known for appropriating technology.
I could see them doing stuff like that. I mean, they drink blood and stuff, right?
Allegedly.
How moral can they be? Yeah, I could see the Ultramarines doing it. Those goobers have everything, right? I mean, they've got multiple planets. They got their own planetary defense force. They've got patrols the whole. The Ultramarines have everything. I'm sure. Look, I'm sure they have a Titan.
Say what you want. Some bright red Titans on the table are going to look awesome.
Look, you can't argue against the color scheme. I mean, red and gold, that looks great. It also looks like corn, but maybe not so much gold. Just put some wings on it, it'll be great.
Man, I'm pumped. I think with the initial set, it's going to, with the Knights coming out, the Knights look awesome. It really is. Assembling the Warlord Titan, when you're putting that, it has some last cannons on his back.
Yeah.
And when you're assembling that little, actual Imperial Guard size last cannons.
Yeah, it's got the the bolters in the front and the las cannons in the back, the defensive las cannons.
When you're putting those on, it's like almost surreal.
It really gives you a sense of scale, I guess.
But it's a great model. I mean, it went together fairly smoothly. I told you it takes a little bit of time between the first one I built.
Yeah.
But it's the instructions are easy to follow. It gives you very clear indication of what your options are. Like there's all the symbols of what your options are very easy to read and because you get the option of the armor plates that you put on it.
Oh, so there's different armor plates and stuff you can put on it?
Yeah, so you've got and it's different time periods in the battle, but it's really like you got good guy and bad guy and neutral guy armor plates.
Really? Okay.
Yeah. Like on the kit.
Oh man. That's pretty cool.
So the middle shoulder, the shoulder plates or the shoulder pauldrons are in 3 sections.
Yeah.
And the middle section, I went with the blank slate, so that's where I'll put my Blood Angel symbols.
Okay, all right. I'm going with the big T, because it's got to match mine. So I got to put the big T on there.
Yep.
Oh my gosh, dude! I am so unreasonably excited about this game. Oh my gosh, I'm looking at the sprues right now. There are a lot of tiny little pieces on that too.
It's really not that bad.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the only real tiny pieces were the las cannons and the heavy bolters.
Yeah. Listen, like in a game of 40K, those las cannons and those bolters are like one of my favorite things on it because it's really hard to just shoot one of those off the table, so people like to charge you, and they Overwatch on like 5+, and they will just gut people. I love it. Probably not going to play a huge factor in this game, but
I don't even think there's rules for them.
They don't have stats. Let me shoot my heavy bolter at you.
I do not believe. I do not believe it has stats. Yeah. I glued it on. I was thinking the whole time, I was like, I don't remember seeing a card for this.
No, I'm glad, because next thing you know, people will be asking why the knights don't get to shoot their heavy stubbers at the warlord.
The knights are cool. I mean, you buy them in banners,
mm-hmm.
So you buy a group of them, and they're neat. I mean, they do have their ion shields.
Now, when you get the knights, do you pick the weapons for them, or when you buy one, do you just get one paladin, one errant, and one warden? How's that going to work?
Yeah, that's what I'm not real sure about that. I think you have to buy the weapons for them,
mm-hmm.
or buy them differently,
mm-hmm.
because they're scale 3 and they're 120 points plus the weapons.
Okay.
So I'm going to imagine that you get the option of this. Yep.
I'm going to go out on a limb and just say I'm glad that there are no Helverins in Adeptus Titanicus, because I think those knights are going to be challenging enough to paint. So I don't think I want to have to try to paint an even smaller knight.
Yeah, each knight is armed with 2 weapons chosen from the following list in any combination.
Oh, any combination.
Yep, and knight can also be fitted with either or both of the following: Storm Spear Rocket Pod or Melt-A-Gun. Well, either or, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I like that. So, like the Storm Spear, the only one that's reasonably effective against a Titan, and a Melt-A-Gun, which is reasonably okay. That's cool.
Questoris support banner consists of 3 Questoris Knights, 1 Lord Scion, and 2 Scion Marshals. If you wish, you can add up to 3 more Scion Marshal at a cost of 35 points each.
So 3 to 6 Knights in a banner. Okay.
And the weapons can be whatever you want. Well, in whatever combinations.
Right, so I could just put 2 battle cannons on there if I wanted to.
Yeah, the rapid fire battle cannon is 2 dice, which is good. Strength 5.
So it can hurt the shields.
It's also got ordnance as a rule. Like there's different traits here, so there's of course a little bit more complexity than we've gone into. But
right.
the Gatling cannon has a rapid trait. The thermal cannon has fusion. And the battle cannon has ordnance. And the melee weapon has melee. So no mystery there.
I'm going to have to paint those little dudes yellow. It's going to be great. My little Hawk Shroud knights running everywhere.
They're agile, so the knights are not affected by difficult or dangerous terrain.
Okay. So I think you said something earlier. I don't remember if it was on the podcast or like on the recording or not, but I think you mentioned something about like the buildings. You can destroy buildings and stuff. Is that right?
That's a good question. Well, what we talked about is you running into the buildings.
Oh, right, okay.
And damaging yourself.
Okay.
Yeah, there are, like, you might have seen in the rule set too, that there are objective tokens, and those objective, I should say, not objective tokens, but little objective miniatures. They do things on the tabletop. I mean, the game is going to have layers to it that you can choose to work in all your games, or go through with the quick start rules.
Yeah, I think my sons and I will play those quick start rules, and then everybody else get on board with reading up on that rule book.
You're not going to be able to face down this Blood Angel Titan Legion.
Look, dude, the Firebrands will shoot your silly little Blood Angels. Because look, Firebrands, I'll be able to get a full crew in there in the cockpit. Your big giant Space Marines, they're not going to fit in there. That's not going to work. There's going to be like one dude in there trying to operate all the levers and stuff. It ain't going to work.
That's what happens. It's Mephiston. He's doing it with your mind.
Of course it is.
This is of course Horse Heresy a little bit before Mephiston.
He'll find a way.
He'll go back in time.
Yeah, yeah.
Man, I'm pumped. I think this is a very cool game. The rules are neat. I like the full you go, I go aspect of it. I like the fact that it captures the feel of moving around these real, what are lumbering beasts.
Yeah.
But I think the payoff is good. Like, if you really do, I think, we talk on the 40K side, we talk about how the games are won and lost in the movement phase.
Yeah, in this one, it seems very true. It seems super duper true that, like, maneuvering is going to be a really big deal.
So in the optional rules, destroying terrain is one of the things that you can do.
That will not be optional for me. That is just going to happen.
So are overloading the void shields.
That's also going to happen.
This is very clearly marked in the optional rules section.
Unless you're playing at Ricky's house.
Unlike the advanced rules, they are not considered a core part of the game. Instead, they are included for those who don't mind adding some complexity in exchange for a richer experience.
I want the richest experience. It's happening.
It says, in order for some or all of these rules to be used, both players must agree to them first. So I could see this easily being like in a tournament pack. Like, hey, here's the missions we're using.
Right, yeah.
And you can use everything but overloading void shields or something like that. Or whatever. I don't know that that's even terrible. I'm sorry, I don't know if... So in extreme circumstances, a Princeps might give the command to overload their Titan's void shield generators, bypassing the failsafe cutouts to avoid a hit, which might otherwise cripple the Titan. This has not come up in what we talked about so far, but as your reactors are essentially overloading and being strained and stuff, you take hits. So you don't actually, you don't necessarily wreck yourself when you're overloading. You just take additional pretty high strength hits to your body section.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, there's going to be times when you are making sacrifice. And I like that. I think there's going to be neat. Like, think about in all the novels. Like, even the ships and stuff are characters in those novels. Like, when I was reading Black Legion recently on coming back from the plane. I mean, I've noticed this before, but like in that book, I really got the sense like these spacecraft and everything's a character in this book, and it's a common thing. They're always having to like wrestle with the
machine spirits and stuff. Yeah. Well, that's one of the things I love. Like, when they talk about Titans. I think it was in the Warlord novel that I was reading. Like when they talk about the machine spirit in each of them, how this Titan has a machine spirit that's particular in this way, and this one in this way, because these things are hundreds of years old, and they've been connected to these Princeps, and part of their personality, their personalities kind of merge and become part of the machine, and so the machine will become. It will almost develop a personality on its own. And so it's really neat how, all of that kind of comes together to make this big giant character.
You got to read Black Legion. It's pretty good. Yeah. Okay, so if the Omnissiah wills it, the generators will hold despite the extra strain, but in most cases, they will be reduced to a little more than a heap of molten slag, rendering the Titan defenseless for the rest of the battle. Before making a save roll for the Titan, the player can declare they will overload its shields. For the duration of the attack, the Titan's void shield level is 2+. This is affected by modifiers as normal, but they cannot declare void shields to full. That's one of the things you can do.
Okay.
Pushing your reactor. Note that the void shields can only be overloaded if the shields have not already collapsed. If any saves are failed, the void shield generators are destroyed. Remove the status marker from the void shield track. The shields are treated as collapsed for the rest of the battle and cannot be reignited.
Oh man, that is so getting played. So basically, 2 up, just don't roll once, and you're good. You're good. You're fine. You're fine.
Because that never happens. You never roll once.
I never roll once. I don't know what you're talking about. I tell you what, I say that, but like true story, Paul. Like yesterday, I was playing a game and my dice just went so cold. Is the first time I ever just chucked a model across the room. It was
wow.
It was that, or just or start screaming. So I just picked a ball up and just chucked it. My buddy's like, "You okay?" I was like, "I am now. Let's just keep going." So maybe I shouldn't overload every time.
Probably not. Although when it works, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be a very exciting thing to try to pull off in a game. So that'll be fun.
All this neat stuff you can do: merging void shields, pushing the reactor, issuing orders. This is a pretty interactive game.
Yeah, I'm very excited about that. That it's not just upscaled 40K. They've really made it feel like a game with, a relatively low model count game. You're going to be very involved in everything, and I like the tactical decisions you're going to have to make in every aspect of this game. It sounds like it's just going to be a blast, dude.
It will be neat to see how the missions play out, because right now it's like, oh yeah, give me 3 warlords and let's just figure it out.
Right? Yeah, that's the thing. Is like
3 warlords. One of those is going to be outflanking.
Outflanking, yeah. So it's like, what is going to make the other Titans, the Reavers and hopefully the Warhounds and the Knights, what's going to make them attractive to bring to the game? And that's what I'm really looking forward to seeing, is how it all kind of balances out and where the variety comes in.
Yeah, I haven't poured over the missions yet, but since they are in the book, I'm assuming that all this is kind of taken into account. And then when you are having to do things like claim objectives or progressive objectives, we know that really influences army list design.
Yeah. And how I didn't even ask, how fast are knights? Like, if
you mean
their speed, yeah, like a warlord is 4 inches and 6 if it's really pushing it.
10 inches for a knight.
Yeah, that's why you take knights right there.
Zipping around.
Yeah.
I have to imagine that probably like a warhound is going to be similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, let me see what we've got here as far as the cards go. So we have a Reaver Titan, which has speed 6/9, and then a Warhound Titan is speed 8/12.
Okay.
Yeah.
I didn't even realize that the Warhound, that they already had like the rules for it in there. So that's great.
Oh yeah, and weapon cards and stuff for these things also.
I am ridiculously excited for this game. I can't stop saying it, dude. Like I don't know. I was looking.
Well, this is your thing, man.
Yeah,
so I'm glad we got to chat about it. But you like the big war machines, and I don't disagree.
Yeah. Somebody, my friend, when they announced the stuff and everything, everybody's like, "Oh yeah, I'm excited." I said, "Yeah, I'm gonna do 40K scale Titanicus," and he said, "You mean Titanicus rules with 40K models?" And I said, he said, "You mean 40K rules with Titanicus models?" I said, "No, I mean Titanicus rules with 40K scale models." And he went, "Oh, right."
I wouldn't be surprised if things like Apocalypse games, went to that kind of stuff.
Yeah, think about Adepticon. One of the first things I thought of was Adepticon, because remember, Adepticon every year does that big Titan, battle where they're all standing around. They play it on the floor. Like, tell me they're not just going to go to Adeptus Titanicus rules for that thing. That would make so much sense.
I have to make a 5-foot blast marker, an 8-foot flame template.
That's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, I don't know why you wouldn't. I mean, I'm not
Yeah.
saying this is a deterrent.
No.
I'm saying that you have to do it.
Yeah, I'm just picturing like some dude walking around with a 6-foot flame or 10-foot trying to hold it. Okay, so there are obstacles, but you know those Adepticon folks,
Worth it.
they'll figure that out.
It's worth it. Oh man, so yeah, you know, I haven't planned out an army list yet. I may do that, but before the show goes up, but no promises.
Yeah, I'll probably be hitting you up trying to figure out exactly like kind of in my head. Well, actually, no. By the time I have, let's see, I'll be going back to. I'll be busy all weekend. So by the time I get back, our store copy will be there, and I'll be right there with you, probably making a list, trying to figure out what we're going to do.
Yeah, I mean, it's some knights can be, some titans can be in squadrons, like the Warhound Titan. Of course, the knights have the banners. And then that's going to give you some abilities, or just to get more bang out of your abilities and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
This is a very interesting game.
Now, do you think that this is a competitive game? Do you think like that this is a game that you'll see people running tournaments, or do you think it's more of a
It is. Yeah, it is absolutely a tournament, or a tournament-worthy game. I mean, when you think about like the complexity just in the movement phase,
yeah,
I think that's going to be attractive to people. When you think about just the explosive force of the weaponry, you know.
I mean, then that's like and like of course you can play anything in a tournament, right? You can play a tournament of anything, but rewarding tournament is
the rules are solid.
Yeah, I feel like it's got to be. Yeah,
I mean, I know we've kind of jumped around a little bit, but we talked about the basics of how the game is played in 25 minutes.
Yeah,
or whatever, and then the complexity comes from a little bit about what you take in your list, and then what is required at the time. It's no different than that in 40K, like with uses of stratagems or psychic powers or whatever. You're still, you're doing things as they come up at the time, and that is that's attractive to certain tournament players.
Yeah. Now, how long does a game take? Like, are we looking at like 2.5 hours?
2.5 hours, yeah,
okay.
yeah. It gives some suggested times in here, but I
Right.
think you're going to be looking at a 2.5 hour round.
Right. Way longer for the first couple of games till you get the rules locked in.
Until you figure out that you've somehow spun your Titan into the corner and he can't get out.
Yeah. He's already pulled over.
You need to be like it's like round 3 and it's like, hey man, I know we didn't do this before the game starts, but I'd really like to use this optional rule for destroying terrain. Because I've somehow got myself wedged in over here.
Need a ground guide to back me up here.
It's like that. You get caught, and like you're trying to parallel park and you just can't.
You just give up. Yeah.
I saw a sweet meme that the worst thing about parallel parking is the witnesses.
Yeah.
So the worst thing about your first game of trying to move a Titan.
Yeah, absolutely. Don't
asking your buddy
me.
asking your buddy for terrain destruction rules.
Oh my gosh, that'll be it. Be like, dude, I will buy your lunch. Let's just
let me shoot this building.
It's good, right?
Oh, but yeah, man, I can't wait to start rolling some dice with this.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I am ridiculously looking forward to this. I'm looking forward to painting them, assembling, playing. Golly, it's going to be neat to do. It's even going to be neat to do terrain in such a wonky scale. So,
well, the terrain in the box sets, like the panels are reversible. So you could get a little bit of different texture or even different makeup if you depending on what you want to do. So you can get 2 sets of the same thing, and they won't come out like the same buildings.
Right, that's cool. Now, are they modular-ish to a degree, or how does?
I don't know. I can't answer that. I held a completed one in my hand, and when I turned it over, I saw that there was defined texture on the other side of it.
Okay, I gotcha.
I would imagine that they are. I just don't know that.
Yeah, that's because like everything they've put out lately has been kind of like modular type stuff. So I'm hoping they continue that with these. That'll be nice if these kits get more if they can go farther than just these 4 buildings.
I feel like they can, if only because you can flip over some of them, and you get
right
there. But I have to imagine that rectangular shapes are able to be combined, and as your imagination unfolds.
I've heard that. I mean, I think my kindergarten teacher said something about that.
Oh man, we're going to wrap this up this weekend. Gonna give an honest try at filming a battle report.
Oh my goodness! Well, you talked it up, like you said you were going to, so I guess you had to do it.
It's gonna do a good, honest try of doing it. So hopefully, we'll put it up on the YouTube channel. Hopefully, people will be patient as we learn.
There's a learning curve, yeah. Let's just hope that it records, because think about how annoying it is when we record a 30-minute segment for the podcast and it doesn't record. Imagine, a 3-hour game of 40K.
It's going to record. Well, we got it. I feel like we got it. I feel like we're going to get something up for people to see. And I hope folks enjoy it, because we're going to try our best to do competitive armies in tournament missions.
That's going to be exciting. Now I'm just going to have to... I guess this is at the Murphy homestead that you're doing this.
It is.
So yep. I'm gonna have to drive down to Atlanta at some point.
We'll have these full-on Titan battles.
Oh my gosh, we gotta do it. I'm there. We'll pick a weekend, dude, and this is happening.
That sounds great, man. Well, Ricky, thanks for sitting there and gushing with me, because I think you have the market cornered on excitement, but I'm right there with you. I'm one step behind. I'm thrilled to have it. I mean, this is the kind of thing that, when Titans first came out in Armorcast.
Yeah. Look, Paul, my very first job, I was 16 years old. I went and got a job bagging groceries. My very first paycheck from my very first job I ever had bought the Armorcast Reaver Titan. I literally went and got a job to get a Titan. And so, yeah, dude, it's I think this is going to be one of those, this is one of those milestone games, I think, where people are going to be like, hey, do you remember when Adeptus Titanicus came out? I feel like this is going to be that, Battlefleet Gothic, Adeptus Titanicus.
All right, well, guys, keep your ears peeled for all the podcasts. If you check us out on YouTube, I know there's more stuff coming, with battle reports and some army list talk, and I'll even show off the Warlord, basically the scale of it. Anyway, please give us a like, share, and subscribe, and all that stuff. And Ricky, I'll talk to you next week.
All right, I'll see you, buddy.
See ya.
Puts baby in the corner.